ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुवेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामो राम रामो हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you all for our journey of self discovery course. So yesterday we had done this topic of who am I, search for identity. You all remember?
Yes.
And would you all like to share anything from yesterday's session? Anything that you all remember? Quickly. Up.
Our soul continues.
Soul continues birth after birth. Okay. What else?
It's the same size, whether it's an ant or a human.
Yeah, the same size whether it is ant, human being, elephant, the same size of the soul. Correct. So the soul is so powerful.
I think the analogy of a car and a driver really was very powerful. Because then you remember that the analogy is that you can have a car, but without the driver, it doesn't go
Exactly.
anywhere.
Exactly.
And we are so obsessed with the car itself that really the focus has to be on the driver and what the driver does. So those analogies, I think, really stuck.
Correct. Yeah.
And even the computer analogy,
Yeah.
software, hardware, software, and electricity
Correct.
was also, I think, very telling.
Yeah. 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 So very good analogies. Analogies actually make difficult concepts easy to understand. Of the car and the driver. So our body is like a vehicle. Krishna tells us, yantra rudani mayaya. So this is a yantra. It's like a machine, right? And the driver is the Atma. So once the Atma leaves, the vehicle is not going to move further. And then the example of the three bodies. We have a gross body which is like the hardware, the subtle body which is like the software, and then the soul which is like the electricity that gives energy to both the gross and subtle body. Anything else?
I enjoyed the explanation of the spiritualism.
Spiritualism, yeah. Good. Anything else? You remember anything?
Everything else is temporary, only the soul is permanent.
Yeah, we also saw that this world is a place of temporariness. Everything keeps changing. But the one thing that doesn't change is the Atma. To all the changes. Dehi nosman yata dehe. We saw that verse. The body keeps changing. There are so many transformations that happen. But the soul is steady. We also gave the analogy of the moon. Right? It appears that the moon changes, but the moon doesn't change. The moon is always steady. So similarly, the body may appear to go through changes and we may feel that I am changing. But actually, the soul never changes. Correct. I think overall, these were some of the points. We saw some proofs of existence of soul, how to see the soul, right? We saw all that. You'll remember, right? Good. So today we'll discuss this very important topic called search for happiness. Anand ki Khoj. How many of you are searching for happiness? We all are. The scriptures explain Anandamayo Bhyasat. This is a Vedanta Sutra, one of the sutras. It says Anandamayo Bhyasat. That means the soul, speaking about the soul is searching for happiness. So what are we doing in this world? We are all looking for happiness. Whatever we do in life, right? Whether it is going to a movie, whether it is going for a vacation or having a relationship, name it, having the food, the choice of the food. What is the thought behind everything? You want to be happy. Because that's the drive, that's the impetus that is driving all of us. So what is this thing called happiness? How do we actually find real happiness that we are looking for is the subject of today's discussion. So one time there was a sadhu, a saintly person who came to a king, and the king was very eager to understand this concept of happiness. So the sadhu told him, so let's go in your garden and you try to catch this butterfly. So the king goes in his garden and there's so many butterflies in the garden. So the king goes to catch this butterfly. As soon as he goes near it, the butterfly just flies away. You have experienced that, na? As soon as you go, they just fly away. So the king did this couple of times and then he got very exhausted. He just sat below a tree and the butterfly comes and sits on his shoulder. So many times our experience of happiness is like this. The more we run after it, the more it slips away from our hand. And at some time it just comes and lands upon us even though we are completely unprepared for it. So what is this concept of happiness is what we are going to try to understand. So as I told you, this course, before we do certain topics, there are certain fundamental topics that we need to understand. So now we are coming to one such very fundamental topic and a fundamental discussion that the scriptures speak about. Here you see students standing in line for admission in a college, right? So whenever you have like students standing in line for admission in a particular college, so there are different categories in which a student may get admission in, right? You have a general category, or you may have, whatever different categories, army quota and all those quotas, different categories. Or it may be different departments itself in a particular college that they want, right? So whenever we see categories, it means two things. One is there is something common between all of them. All the students are wanting admission in the same college. That's the common part. But the difference is maybe on the merit, maybe on their father's profession, maybe on their income, like that. There are certain categories that are there. So similarly, when someone travels in a plane, you have categories of seats in a plane, right? You have business class, economy class. So now all the categories, all the seats are in the same plane. Everyone is going to get down on the same destination. That's the common part. But the difference is the amount of money you shed, you get little more comforts in the seat. It means two things, different and common things. There are certain things that are different and there are certain things that are common. You have got this point, right? So whenever we say categories of living beings, there are various categories of living beings. So for our discussion today, we are making it into two categories: human beings and animals. Put all the birds, beasts and everything together as animals, the trees, everything as animals for today's discussion, and then human beings as a different category, right? So because we all feel that we are special. So whenever we see category, human beings and animals, what does it mean? With those previous two examples, what it means? Whenever we see categories, what it means?
One was choice and one
It's common and difference.
Yeah, we'll come to that, madam. But the point is, whenever we see categories, that means there is something common between humans and animals, and there are some differences. So we are going to explore this now, which is something that is very basic to understanding the concept of happiness and understanding Bhagavad Gita. So let's first try to understand what are the common things between humans and animals. Any thoughts?
Living.
Living, yeah. Anything else? What is common between us and animals?
They all have Atma.
Yeah, definitely. Atma, they are all living, yeah. We are speaking about living beings only, that is understood only. But still, what is the common thing between us and animals? If you all have observed, huh? Emotions are there, yeah. Anything else? Feelings, emotions, yeah. So basically, there is a verse in the Mahabharata. The verse says, Ahara Nidra Bhayamaitunam cha Samanya etat Pashubir Narana. So this is a verse from the Mahabharata which says there are 4 things common between humans and animals. Ahar, eating, Nidra is sleeping, Maitun is mating, and Bhai is fear. Because of fear you defend. So the Mahabharata explains these are 4 things common between humans and animals: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. I don't know how much we have thought about this. As I told you yesterday, this course is meant for all of us to think a little, right? So human energy, so much of human energy is spent on eating, isn't it? I mean,
That's what gives you energy to begin with.
yeah, definitely. But I'm saying, eating is, you can eat quite simple, but then just for that taste buds, there is like n number of the energy of a human being that goes on this eating. There's a whole industry of eateries and hotel industry and everything, eating. But the basic pleasure of eating, whether we agree or not, it's the same what the animals experience. See, that taste is only till that food just passes through the tongue. That moment, that's it. After that, it's just food that the stomach is going to need, right? So we spend so much energy in this eating, so much of this human consciousness goes in this concept of eating, but it's the same experience that the animals also get. Similarly, sleeping. I mean, we can have a seminar on this actually, on sleeping. The irony in today's world is, human beings, we are supposed to be very advanced. We all intuitively understand that we are much more superior than animals. But consider this aspect of sleeping. Do you think humans beings right now sleep well, or the animals sleep well? Yeah, you'll find a dog in a busy, crowded Bombay street dozing off. And you have human beings, very good place, the softest bed, AC, comforts, everything. But somehow you have to take sleeping pills just to go to sleep. So the point is, and anyway, after you go to sleep, once you are in deep sleep, does it make a difference to you whether you are on the bed or on the floor? No, it really doesn't make a difference. If someone has gone on a sound sleep, you pick that guy up and put him on the floor, he's not even going to understand. Because he's gone to sleep, that's all. So the comforts that there's so much energy that goes even in this concept of making beds and this, that, and so many things. The Bhagavatam actually explains, the first canto of Bhagavatam, so the first or the second canto of Bhagavatam explains, why you have to waste so much human energy in this concept of sleeping? Just sleep on the floor. And Bhagavatam says, why do you need a pillow? Just use your hand to sleep. Right? Sometimes we do that now when you are on a vacation somewhere, you are just on a picnic, just you put your hand and just go to sleep. That's it. So the point is, we spend so much of our human energy in sleeping and this concept of sleep and everything. Recently, we have Bhaktivedanta Hospital. We have an ISKCON set up hospital in Bombay. So they have something called a sleep clinic. They have a sleep clinic, and there's a whole set of systems that they have to monitor how much one sleeps, how it can be improved, whole set of things. So a lot of energy that goes in that. But the point is, it is once you go to sleep, the experience that an animal and a human being gets is the same. Not that we get anything superior, it's the same. And mating, which again is like a big hype in today's world, especially with Hollywood, Bollywood and everything. But the experience of mating, that pleasure, is the same that even animals derive, right? And finally, defending. We may have our own mechanisms of defending, and the animals may be more crude in their defending, but the whole defense is based on the factor of fear, which is the same. So you may say that I am advanced than an animal because I have an AK-47, I have a nuclear weapon and all that, but the emotion that is driving all this defense mechanism is the mechanism of fear, which is there even in animals. So the scriptures, the Mahabharata explains, ahara nidra bhayamaitunnam cha samanya etat pashubir naranam. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. We may say that we are more sophisticated in our eating, sleeping, mating, defending, but the scriptures say on the level of the essence, it's the same happiness that animals also derive. So in these four things, we are not different or we are not better than animals, right? We are the same pleasure that the animals also get. So now we were in our discussion, we were coming to this point that humans and animals, there'll be some common things and some differences. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending, we have seen that these are common things. We are not better than them. So then, what are the differences? What makes us better than animals? We all agree, we all know that we are better than animals. In what way? How are we better? Any thoughts? This is something that's very important. How are we better than animals?
Choices.
But yeah, please, we can make choices. Very good. Correct. Anything else? We can think, yeah.
Communication.
Communication, okay. What else? Intelligence, yeah. Intelligence, yes, correct. Anything else? Okay. So, all of you all are correct. So, someone may say reasoning, questioning, thinking, logical intelligence, or even emotions for that matter. But all these things are there in animals also to some extent. Have you ever seen animals reason? Reasoning? They using their intelligence? Have you seen?
Yes.
Can you all give some example?
If you put two types of food for a dog, it will decide which one suits it, which one doesn't.
Okay.
Just by
Okay.
smelling it.
Okay. Very good. Anything else? Any other thought? Have you all seen anything? If you all have pet animals, you all have observed anything?
If you want to, for instance, when I want to lock my dog and he knows if I'm giving a special treat, it's because I'm trying to entice him.
Yeah.
So he won't go that easily in.
Yeah. We have a Goshala in where we stay in Sharaon. I mean, being with the cows for 2.5 years, I have realized that the cows are very intelligent. You have a doctor who's coming to give vaccine. As soon as that doctor comes in, this cow knows that this fellow is not someone whom I like. They know everything. They are like very smart. They know how to escape. They know what to do. A dog, especially, it said that when they have indigestion, they go and eat grass. I mean, they don't have to go to a doctor. Nature is their doctor. Nature cure. Right? So they have their own reasoning. They have their own questioning. They have some amount of logical intelligence. A cat knows when to enter the kitchen, to steal that milk or whatever. Right? And emotions also animals do have. Have you all seen animals with emotions?
Yes.
I mean, so much. Sometimes the emotions that the animals give, probably the humans also don't give that much emotions, right? Lot of love, lot of affection. So definitely we have these things to a bigger extent than animals, but animals also do have it. So this is actually this video. I can't play this video, but this is a video of a man who actually saved a lion when the lion was a small cub. Years later, he goes to meet this lion. The lion actually comes to hug this man. So the lion is also grateful, basically. So there are many things like this. So what is exactly the difference? What is like the main difference? Going back to our scriptures, the verse of the Mahabharata, which I was quoting, ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha samanya etan pashupir narana. These four things are common. The verse continues, Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubi samana. So the verse of the Mahabharata says, the only thing that is special in a human being is dharma. And if this dharma is not there, dharmena hina pashubi samana. Such a human being is as good as an animal. So what does this word dharma mean? So here we are going to see 4 aspects. The first is called A. And A refers to ability for higher inquiry. Someone said questioning, as humans we can question. But what question? Animals also have a question. Every day morning when the animals get up, you have seen dogs barking, the birds chirping. So they have a question every day in the morning. You know what's their question? Anyone knows what their question is? If you understand dog language, bird language. Their question is, today, where is my food? Where will I get to eat? Where will I get to sleep? Where will I get to mate? This is their question. Understanding? So they also question. But their question is revolved around ahara, nidra, bhai, maytun. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That's their whole circle. That's where the question revolves around. As human beings, we can question something higher. Ability for higher inquiry. This is called athato brahma jigyasa. To understand, have these questions of who am I? Why I am suffering in this world? Animal will never ask why there is suffering in this world. Right? Animals, they can't just think beyond that eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That's their mechanism, that's their programming. Right? So we can question who am I, why there is suffering in this world, who is God, is there a creator around, right? So many things that we can question. Existential questions of life. This is the speciality of a human being. Right? This is the speciality of a human being. All of you have heard the story of Gautam Buddha. Gautam Buddha was a prince called Siddhartha. So when he was born, the astrologer predicted that this boy is going to become a great king or is going to become a great saint. I mean, which father wants the child to become a saint? So the father decided that this boy will not be exposed to any of the problems in this world. So they kept him in a very protected atmosphere. He never went out of the palace. He only saw good things. He never saw problems. So that's the way. And that one ride changed him. He goes out and he sees a person coughing. I mean, Siddhartha had never seen something like this. I mean, it was like a new experience only for him. Someone coughing so badly, so miserable. So Siddhartha is asking the minister, what is this? So minister says, this is disease. It happens to everyone. So Siddhartha is thinking. He started to ponder. He goes ahead, he sees an old man. He had never seen an old man in his life. In his palace, he was so protected that he saw only good people, beautiful people. He never saw old people at all. So he saw an old man who was completely bent down, walking with a stick. So Siddhartha was like in a shock. What has happened to this person? Why is he walking like this? So the minister told him, old age comes to everyone. Everyone goes through it. And he goes a little ahead at what he sees like the biggest shock of his life. Biggest shock. And that one thing just blew him. He saw 4 people carrying one man, and this guy is sleeping on a bed made of bamboos, and they are chanting Ram Naam Satya Hai. So Siddhartha started to think, why is this person sleeping? Tell him to get up. The minister said, he will not get up. Siddhartha was like blown. What do you mean? I go to sleep every day, I get up. What do you mean he's not going to get up? The minister said, one day we will go to sleep in such a way that we will never wake up in this body. So Siddhartha said, this is it. This is it. He said, I have to find answers to these questions. What is birth? What is death? Why there is suffering? So he goes out and he sits in that Bodhi tree and he becomes the enlightened one, the Buddha. So the point is, ability for higher inquiry, to make deeper questions in life is what the human form is meant for. And second is bliss. Coming back to the topic of happiness, right? So you see, animals also experience happiness. It's not that animals they don't experience happiness. But their happiness is completely revolved around sense pleasure only. Tongue, what titillates the tongue, the sense pleasure, touch feeling and everything like that. That's all. as human beings, we can experience higher levels of happiness. There is physical happiness, sensual happiness. Beyond that, there is mental, intellectual happiness. Then there is spiritual happiness, right? So if you have seen any time, two people playing a chess game, I mean, they can look at that board for like 8-10 hours. So some guy who doesn't have any love for chess may feel that these guys have gone nuts. What are these guys doing looking at that board? But if they are not experiencing any pleasure, intellectual pleasure, how can you do something like that? So there is a greater intellectual pleasure, and these pleasures are much more higher, and the highest is spiritual pleasure. So human beings, we are meant to experience higher levels of pleasure, not just the physical one. And C, as madam said, C refers to choice. Animals can't choose, right? So sir give the example of dog chooses, yeah, but in one sense they don't have too much of choice, right? I mean, in the sense that they can't choose between what is right and what is wrong. They can't make these choices at all, right? You have like n number of options you can choose. So human beings have the special prerogative of choosing. The animals react, and human beings, we can respond. Respond because we can put a pause button and make a choice of how we want to respond. So it is said life is a segment, BD. Life is a segment, BD. Starts with birth, ends with death, right? And both these points are fixed. As you know, a segment, in maths we have learned a segment matlab two fixed points, start and the end. B was fixed already, and D is also fixed. When it has to happen, it will happen. Just like you have that machine, na? In olden days you have that machine. Now also probably you have. Usko chavi deta hai na? You give a key, you keep moving it. So that machine will walk as many turns it has to make. After that, it is going to stop. So our body, our heart is like a machine. The amount of beats are fixed. This machine is going to beat that much and then stop. So birth is there, and then life ends with death. The point B we can't change. The point D we can't change. But between B and D is the letter C. And C means choice. So life is moment to moment choice. Between B and D, at every moment is the letter C, choice. Yesterday, 4 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. whatever, you all made a choice to come here. Okay? Today again you all made a choice to come here. Tomorrow again you will have a choice whether to come or not, right? So this choice is always there with us. At every moment we can choose. And what is destiny? It is the sum total of all the choices we have made in life. That's all. So we are who we are now, where we are now is because of the choices we have made in the past. And where we will be tomorrow, it all depends on the choices that we make moment to moment now. So this choice is what is the speciality of a human being. And then D refers to determination. Determination means the ability to follow a choice, right? Once you choose a certain path, you are ready to follow through, which animals don't have. They don't have anything called determination in them. So these four things are actually the difference between humans and animals. What are the four things? Ability for higher inquiry, higher levels of bliss, the power to make choices, and the power of determination. You're all there with me till here? Can we go ahead? Yeah. So, it is explained in the scriptures, the same verse which I quoted from the Mahabharata, Dharmena hina pashubi samana. If we don't explore this potential, what does this potential mean? This thing. If we don't explore what our human form of life is meant for, then we are well-dressed, sophisticated, polished animals. May sound heavy, but scriptures are sometimes heavy, right? So you see, humans and animals it is a physical form also, and there's a consciousness also. Someone may be in a human form, but consciousness is of animalistic consciousness, right? We understand this word, animalistic consciousness. So human beings is actually meant to explore the potential that we discussed here. And the biggest irony is when a man doesn't or a human being doesn't act like a human being, what a human being is meant for, such a human being becomes worse than an animal. And we don't need too many examples. We can see the world around. I'll give you some examples. Sleeping pills, threats, scarcity, heartbreaks, stress management, addiction, suicide are not there in animal life. They are there in present human life. Have you ever found an animal, wants to commit suicide? Have you read anywhere in the paper that the dog has jumped out of a building, committed suicide? Never happened. Will never happen. Okay. Have you ever found animals die of scarcity also? You'll hardly find anything like that. Elephants, you might have like huge bodied elephants who eat so much, but there's no scarcity. These things are there in human society. And as time is progressing, these things are on the rise. These things are on the rise. Stress is on the rise. Addictions are on the rise. Heartbreaks are on the rise. Scarcity on the rise. Suicide, threats, sleeping pills. Why? So if you have to wonder, if anyone is wondering, why is this happening? We have been saying that humans are more intelligent, we are more advanced. But what is this? How do you say we are more advanced than animals? The reason this is happening is because we are not acting the way we are supposed to act. We are not using this human body for what it is meant for. We are just trying to imitate animalistic life. That's where the problem is. So just imagine a farmer who has a tractor, who uses it to plow the field. He is won a Ferrari car in a lottery. And imagine, after winning the Ferrari car, this farmer takes the Ferrari car to the field and puts a plow behind the car and starts. What do you think will happen? Do you think the field will be plowed? No. Okay. And then what is going to happen to the car?
It's going to get spoiled.
Okay, it's going to get damaged massively. And the car is damaged, the field is not getting plowed, nothing is going to be miserable. So, we are all like this farmer who have won a lottery prize and got this human form of life which is like a Ferrari car. And we are using this human form of life to do what animals are supposed to do: eating, sleeping, mating, defending only. So the result is three things. The first is we can't even enjoy. I mean, eating. You love eating, but how much can you eat? How much can you eat? You have a capacity to eat, right? Beyond that, you may have desire to eat, but if you eat too much, you're going to land in trouble. You can't compete with an animal for eating. Sleeping, how much can you sleep? If you sleep too much, you're going to get a lot of diseases in life. Your body will become very inactive, right? Mating, defending, none of these things we can actually compete with animals, right? So the field will not get plowed. Right? This human form of life is not meant for these four things at all. Second is, the body will get destroyed. Why? Most of the diseases in this world is because of excessive eating, sleeping, mating, defending. If you study Ayurveda, this is like the basic thing. Excess of sense gratification, this is what will happen. This vehicle will get destroyed. And we will be frustrated. Because this human form of life, just like the Ferrari car, is not meant to plow a field, it's meant to go on the highway at full speed. So this human form of life is not meant to be lived like animals, it's meant to go on a different journey. So if you miss this, then we'll have to go back to those lower species to fulfill all those desires. You're getting the point here? So this discussion was very important to understand that this human form of life is actually meant for a certain purpose. And if we don't achieve that purpose, at the end we are not going to be happy. Right? So uh, in today's world, everyone in life is running for something. You'll not find that so much in Goa, but if you go to a city like Bombay, you will literally find people running. I mean, people are on the move day and night, right? Continuously, very fast. They have goals. But many times people are not sure what they are looking for. They're just running and running and running. So ultimately, as we start up the discussion today, whatever we do in life, the subtle emotion or the impetus that is driving us is the impetus of happiness. We are all looking for that ananda, that bliss, that happiness. And what kind of happiness we are looking for? We are looking for a happiness that is permanent, increasing, can be shared with others, and there is variety in it. Okay. Does someone ever go to God and say, my dear Lord, you have given me a lot of happiness, I don't want more? Does anyone say that? You go to God and say, God, I'm happy, but I want to be more happy, right? So we want our happiness to increase, we want it to be permanent, right? We don't want it to decrease, and we want it to share with loved ones. So such kind of happiness is called permanent happiness. So what kind of happiness we are looking for? Something that is permanent. And when these characteristics are missing, it is called relative happiness. So, while we are making the discussion is, we are discussing the concept of happiness. So there are two types of happiness, permanent and relative. Permanent happiness means it's permanent, increasing, can be shared with others. Relative happiness means it is not permanent, it is decreasing, it cannot be shared with others. So what happiness we are actually looking for, permanent or relative? Permanent. We are all looking for permanent happiness. So in order to understand permanent happiness, we need to understand a little of the difference between permanent and relative happiness. In this world, most of the happiness that is available is called relative happiness. What is relative happiness? Happiness that is dependent on something, some person or some situation. As soon as your sense of happiness is dependent on something, some person, some situation, it's called relative happiness. Because when that person, when that situation, when that something is not in your life, you're going to be miserable. Isn't it? And think about it. In today's life, in our own lives, we don't have to look into the life of others. We can just, this whole course is meant for us to look into our own lives only. In our own lives, the happiness that we are looking for, we say that we want permanent happiness, but we are actually looking for relative happiness only. We are finding relative happiness. Our happiness is dependent. Nowadays, people's happiness is so much dependent on a mobile and internet. If this is not there, finished. People are miserable. You just can't function. Dependent on some person, something. That person is no longer there in your life due to whatever XYZ reason. People are in great depressions. Why? Because we have given the remote of our happiness to something else, someone else. And that situation, that person starts to control. The second quality of relative happiness is the gap between two problems. I always give this example. Whenever we ask someone, how are you? The general answer we get is, I'm fine. What does that I am fine mean? Any thoughts on it? When someone says I am fine, what does it mean?
I'm not happy, I'm not this, I'm just in the middle.
I'm okay.
Exactly. So what it means is, sorry,
I'm in the middle.
I'm just searching about it. Yeah. What it means is, right now, I don't have a big problem in my life. It only means, right now, there's no big problem in my life, but very soon it's going to come. We are like from engineering backgrounds. You go and ask an engineering student, how are you? So he'll tell you he's happy. That means his exam has still not come. But his happiness is only for some time. In few months he's going to be in big misery, right? And it keeps happening like that. So the gap between exams, 2 semesters, is like the student somehow tries to enjoy, squeeze in that happiness. But it's for a very short time. So gap between two problems. In this world, problem is around. Your fine means it's not that someone is in bliss. It only means that there is no major thing that has fallen on my head now. That's it. That's the happiness that we are talking about. Right? And relative happiness, ultimately, Krishna tells in the Gita, यही संपर्श जा भोगा दुःख योन एवते आदि अंतवंत कौन्ते नतेषु रमते बुधा. So Krishna gives this definition of relative happiness, that which has a beginning and an end. It has a beginning and an end. Any happiness in this world, relative happiness, has a beginning and has an end. Isn't it? You may love gulab jamuns. As soon as you see the gulab jamun, you are really excited, peak of your happiness. But how long that happiness is going to last? You put it on the tongue, in a second it's disappeared. It's over. In fact, before you eat the gulab jamun also, there's fear already come. It's going to get over, right? So, it has a beginning and it has an end. So Krishna tells in the Gita, an intelligent person doesn't find happiness in such relative things because it's going to end. What's the point? So these are qualities of relative happiness. So we are looking not for relative happiness, but what we are actually looking for is permanent or real happiness. That's what we are looking for. So in today's discussion, we are going to see how to get that real happiness. Right? Many times, we spend our life finding relative happiness, hoping that relative happiness will make us really happy. It cannot be. If you want to be really happy, you have to find real happiness. If you find your happiness in relative things and expect that relative thing is going to make me permanently happy, it will never happen. When people get into a relationship, right, the relationship is also relative only, right? You're looking for something in that person, that some person is looking for something in you. No one is perfect. So when you are looking for the real happiness in a relative relationship, people experience frustration and people wonder, why is it happening? Because you got your whole equation wrong in the beginning. This person can't give you the real happiness that you're looking for. You will get those relative happiness, but you will not get those real happiness. So now the discussion is, how do we get real happiness? So what stops us from being happy is different problems. So just one or two more concepts, and then things will become very clear for you all. So we discussed two terms, real happiness and relative happiness. Now there are two more terms, real problems and relative problems. Okay? So now, how do you get relative happiness? By solving relative problems. How do you get real happiness? By solving real problems. Okay. Will you get real happiness by solving relative problems? No. You understanding? I hope I'm not confusing you all, but this is something that's very important to understand. We expect that we will solve a relative problem. I'll give you an example, we'll make it very clear. We expect that we will solve a relative problem and experience real happiness. I'll give you an example. Someone doesn't have a job. Okay? Is this a real problem or a relative problem? Okay, but for that I have to explain what a real and relative problem is. But this is a relative problem. So someone feels that I don't have a job. If I get a job, I'll be really happy. And this person gets a job. Do you think he's going to be really happy? No. Because that job will give you only relative happiness. Understanding the point? So we have introduced two more words, relative problems and real problems. So if we want to find real happiness, we have to solve real problems. So now, what is a relative problem and what is a real problem? So relative problem basically means one man's food is another man's poison. So it's a problem not for all. Just like a few examples, you have a toothache, someone has a toothache. It's a big problem for you. But is your toothache a problem for a dentist? Your toothache is not a problem for him. In fact, his profession continues because some people do have toothaches.
It's a source of his relative happiness.
Exactly. So that's the way the world is. So someone may be a very rich guy living in Mumbai, right? And his dream is, I just want to get rid of this, come out of this, noisy city of Bombay, go to a hill station and have a small house, just relax out there. Okay? And the guy who's living in that house in that hill station, he's thinking, Amchi Mumbai, I want to go to Bombay. So it's all relative in this world. You have an umbrella shop guy. In front of his shop, there is a vegetable seller. The umbrella shop guy is praying to God, God, please send rain. Because only when rain comes, people are going to buy umbrellas. And the vegetable seller guy is praying outside, please don't send rain. Because if it rains, then this guy has to shut down his business. Right? So everything in this world is relative. Most of the problems. So what is the real problem? So real problem is something that is common to all. No one wants it, but everybody gets it. Right? So what's the real problem? Common to all. No one wants it, but everybody gets it. So if you say, I want it, that means it can't be a real problem. Think about it. What fits into this category of a real problem? Sickness. Yes. Anything else? Anything else?
Death.
Huh?
Death.
Pardon?
Death.
Death. Yeah. Death. Anything else? Think about it. Common to all. No one can escape it. And no one wants it. But still you have to go through these things.
Unhappiness.
Unhappiness. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. In one sense, yes. One sense, yes. Yeah. So, okay. You are all almost there. So the scriptures explain 4 things similar to the story of Siddhartha and Gautam Buddha. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. This is what the scriptures explain. Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. Janma is birth. Someone may say, Arey, birth, I mean, how do you call it a problem? Birth is like something that's great, something that's celebrated. Definitely. But if you look at it, closely, birth, first thing, when we are a child in that womb of that mother, I mean, it's not a great place to be in. There is so much, all worms around, all your brothers around, and it's a completely different situation there, right? Birth. And when the child comes out, has any child come out smiling? I don't know. But I don't think so it ever happens like that. Child comes out crying. And the mother, the pain that she goes through, is it called labor pain or labor pleasure? It's pain, there's some pain in it. So the process of birth is itself a little painful. But someone may say, okay, birth has happened. No, I don't experience that pain now. That's not a problem for me now. But then you have old age coming, which no one can escape. It's going to catch everyone. It's going to catch everyone. Old age. And old age, those who are elderly, we all know, those who are elderly, it's had its own set of issues. Old age that comes, it comes along with, right, so much physical illness, so many things that old people have to go through, right? And many times it is, it's a lot of emotional stuff also, because someone who's used to being very active, suddenly you have to get adjusted to a life where you can't do too many things on your own, right? So these are realities of life that everyone has to go through. Old age, our movement decreases, and then there is disease. So someone may say birth has happened, old age is a lot of time, but disease is always there. And today's world, as advancement in science is increasing, the amount of diseases, is it increasing or decreasing? Increasing. Who ever heard of COVID before? I mean, whoever dreamt also in their wildest imagination that there's going to be something called COVID coming up, right? Diseases are just on the rise, and so many varieties of diseases coming up now. So many new terms. Cancer was something that was never heard of before. Now it's like a common thing. Every second guy, third guy will tell you some episode of cancer, something or the other. It's become so common these days, diseases. And then finally, the final blow is death, which no one can escape. In English, if you have to say something, this is 100% going to happen, you say as sure as death, right? This is the reality that everyone has to go through. So till now, to summarize what we have been discussing till now, so that all the concepts are clear. So till now, we first discussed how are we special. We saw the common things between humans and animals: eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and then we saw differences. ABCD. What is ABCD? Anyone remembers? Ability for higher inquiry. What is B? Bliss. C? Choice. D is determination. Okay. And then now we have discussed real problems, relative problems. So we want to experience real happiness. What we have to solve? Real problems. And what are real problems? Birth, old age, disease, death. So how do we get real happiness?
So प्रभु जी,
Yeah.
you want to आपको ये कहना है कि डेथ ये आने वाली है, उससे आप वो है ही तो आप हैप्पी रहो. डेथ आने वाली है इसका मतलब ये नहीं है, मींस आने ही वाली है ना, तो आप दुखी मत हो जाओ उसके. ऐसा आपको कहना तो
नहीं 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 नहीं, ऐसा मुझे नहीं कहना है. हाँ
अच्छा.
क्या सर?
Concept
I looking after real happiness.
या
मुझे मैं डेथ होने वाली हूँ, अभी मैं बहुत मायूस हो रही हूँ, मुझे डेथ नहीं चाहिए, लेकिन वो रियल है ना, तो मैं एक्सेप्ट करूँ उसको और हैप्पी रह जाऊँ. ऐसा
नहीं 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 नहीं. Yeah. Good you asked that question. Good you asked that question. Good you asked that clarification. So we are not trying to tell that now death is anyway going to come. So just enjoy life. That's what people think. The whole idea of Vedic scriptures is now death is going to come. Become serious in life. This is what it means. And what it means to be serious, we are going to see in the discussions. That means is to take up spiritual life more seriously. In Sanskrit, 51 is called Ekavan. In our Vedic understanding, once you hit 51, ideally you should supposed to be going to the forest. Ideally, you're supposed to hit the forest, retirement. I mean, general age of retirement is also around that only. 50, 60, around that. So generally this is the whole understanding that 50 done, matlab you have to get serious about the examination coming. That's like that examination that is coming for us. Just like you enter a school, as you get closer to your exam dates, your preparation is supposed to increase. Your seriousness in studies is supposed to increase. All your frivolity should decrease a little. So that's the whole understanding of human form of life, that death is going to come. That means it's a serious thing. We have to somehow pass this examination and go beyond. Otherwise, we are going to get stuck again. Right? That's the understanding. Right? So we are just starting on these concepts. We have so till now we saw 4 things that become a part of a real problem. Death. The story doesn't end here. There are 3 more things. Hare Krishna. So before we give you good news, we are going to give you sufficient bad news. So 3 more, like in our engineering now. Anyone engineering here? Engineering students? No. It's there everywhere. In our engineering, you ask students how many papers you have this semester. They will tell you 5 papers and 4 80-80 of the previous semester. Carry over. So it's like that. We have 4 main exams: birth, old age, disease, death, plus 3 carryover. Extra. These 3 problems are called 3 klesha. The first is Adhyatmik klesha. Misery is caused by one's own body and mind. Diseases come in this, and mental diseases also. I mean, the mind it's a crazy entity fit into our system, but I mean, it's like it has its own life and energy almost. Right? There are so many issues related to the mind that people go through. So someone may say, my body and mind is perfect. Someone may say, and no one can claim that now, body and mind is perfect. But if someone says, I have a perfect body, perfect mind. But the problem is, the nature of this world is, other people will not allow you to be happy. This is called Adhibhautik Klesh. Misery is given by other people. It could be your boss, it could be husband, wife, children, it could be anyone, neighbors. Or if no one A mosquito will come and make your life miserable. Hare Krishna. And then you have Adi Devik Klesh, natural disturbances. Too much cold, too much heat, too much rain, tsunami, earthquakes, XYZ, cyclones, and the list goes on and on. Right? Adi Devik Klesh. So these are the real problems. Birth, old age, disease, death, Adhyatmik, Adhibhautik, Adhidevik Klesh. So someone may say, Ari, Prabhuji, we thought we are going to discuss concept of happiness, right? What are you doing? You're just giving us so much negative information. So there is something called ostrich philosophy. You know what is ostrich philosophy? Ostrich philosophy is like this. When the ostrich sees that a tiger is coming to attack him or her, the ostrich digs a hole and puts the head inside that hole. And the ostrich feels, I am safe. Understanding? This is called ostrich philosophy. So do you think if the ostrich is seen like this, it's put its head inside the hole, do you think the tiger is going to leave the ostrich? Poor guy. No, the tiger is going to do the job. So the point is, just by closing our eyes to the problems of this world, we are not going to be safe. We have to accept our situation. We can't be in a denial mode, right? That I'm in bliss. We have to accept that we do have problems that we are facing. So this is the first step in understanding the solution, is to be honest about the problems that we are going through, right? So you're getting the point? So it's not about being negative, it's about being realistic. This is the real world which we live in. Many times I give this example, when you go to a hospital like GMC, things are naked there. But you can see suffering around, you can see people going around. But you have very high-end hospitals. You go to such hospitals, like really high-end ones, the problem is still there, but it's all in some room somewhere. Outside, it almost appears that you have come to a 5-star hotel. That's the feel that you get. Right? So sometimes, when we are, too much in this mode of just putting off the problems and closing our eyes to it, we don't come closer to the solution. So therefore, it's also important that we openly try to understand and speak about these topics. See, who likes to speak about the topic of death? No, does this topic ever come in a discussion? It never comes. But the scriptures do speak about it. Gita speaks about it, because these are realities of life. You can't just push it under the carpet and say, no, let's not discuss about it. You will not find a solution to it. So now we are coming to the solution part. Okay? So till now we saw the problem. We all want real happiness, and to experience real happiness, we have to solve real problems: birth, old age, disease, death, Adhyatmik, Adhibhautik, Adhidevik Klesh. So now we are coming to what is the solution. We are in a difficult situation. What is the solution out of this mess? Is material advance or scientific advancement the real solution for the real problems? Any thoughts? Is material advancement, scientific advancement, do they have a solution for these problems?
No.
Any thoughts?
Yes.
Yes? How?
Because if material advancement includes improvements in science, technology,
Yeah.
if tomorrow we find a cure for cancer, it
Yeah.
helps us a solution for a real problem,
Yeah.
because it looks at
Yeah,
that
yeah,
part
yeah.
of it.
In principle, yes. Yeah.
But if you define material as only ash and enjoyment, then of course it's different. But if material includes all material advancement, progress, then yes.
Yeah. So we'll be coming to both. What you said is you put light on both the parts, but we'll come to this, right? One time, there was a guy who had boil in his hand. Okay? So he went to a doctor, and the doctor told him, use boil ease. He gave him a medicine, ointment. Apply it, the boil will go. So I applied it, the boil went. After a week, the boil came in the other hand. He went to the doctor again. The doctor said, apply boil ease, it will go. It went. The third week, it came in the leg. He went to the doctor. So the doctor told him, simple, don't come to me again and again. I have given you the medicine. Every time a boil comes, apply the medicine, boil is finished. So this guy did it for quite some time, and then he thought, "Arey, this is like never ending. The boy is like shifting from one place to another. What should I do?" He said, "Let me try to change the doctor and see." So he went to another doctor, and the doctor said, "Let's do a blood test. Let's do a blood test and see what's wrong." And they found that there is some impurities in the blood. And the doctor gave him Safi. This is not advertisement for Safi. So doctor gave him Safi and told him, purify the blood. So he took that medicine and his boils stopped completely. So,
Cause of
exactly. So there is something called symptomatic treatment and there is something called pathological, the deeper treatment. Understanding? Both are solutions. See, Boilies also was a solution and Safi also was a solution. Boilies also was giving him relief, but it was symptomatic because it was not going to the cause. It was giving a solution, but the problem was surfacing in some other way, in some other place. Right? We can relate to it in our life, right? Problem surfacing from another way in another place, right? Because the root cause is not addressed. So, material advancement many times gives temporary relief and no real solution. It's just a patch-up solution. Rather, many times it gives rise to problems worse than the original one. Just a few thoughts. Information technology, right? World of IT, global connectivity, huge information, easy interactions. Flip side, pornography, health problems, impersonalism, right? So many issues with it. This is an IT family. Now everything is IT now, IT family. So the parents, mother and father are writing to a daughter, "Dear Handy, how have you been? Your mother and I are fine, we miss you. Please sign off your computer and come downstairs for something to eat." This is IT family. IT gym. Welcome to the weight loss forum. To lose 1 pound, double the amount 6 million times. I mean, now it's all sedentary work, na? So then you have to do something else. Invention of mobiles. It's always available, easy to connect, no privacy, heart diseases, stress. So advancement in science, there are inventions, nuclear weapons, but there are flip sides to it also. Medicines, for that say, it definitely cures diseases, as I said, but there are many side reactions that come which is not so much spoken about. So material advancement definitely gives solution, but these are temporary solutions and not the real solution. See, we are not speaking exactly, we are not saying that it doesn't mean that we don't do research. Those things have to be done, but we also need to understand that there is something more fundamental to it that we need to understand. Right? There's something more fundamental to it that we need to understand. So one time,
This is a little bit controversial because
Yeah.
if you look at the flu, 100 years ago, 6 million people died with the flu.
yeah,
Today, nobody dies with the flu.
yeah.
Now, yes, I can have a medicine from allopathic, and it will have some side effects, but
Yeah,
they're not dying.
perfectly, yeah.
So it's I don't just accept it completely
Yeah. So we are not, yeah.
because if you are looking at it with jaundiced glasses, that material means only
Got it.
acquisition, worldly. Then yes, it is true.
Yeah,
But if it is just all material advancements, the telescope, travel, so on.
definitely it has a purpose. It has a purpose. But what we are trying to say is, see, material. We are not against material advancement. Please don't get me wrong. As I told you, we have our own hospital set up in Bombay.
Sure.
We have all the fields and everything. But this material advancement has to be married with the spiritual connection.
Sure.
It has to be married. So in the hospital that we have in Bombay, Bhaktivedanta Hospital, we have a department called the Spiritual Care Department. So along with all this, there is spiritual education that is given, there is holistic understanding that is given, and then the patient is sent back. So the whole idea is of happiness, coming to this point, advancement minus God, the minus spirituality will not take us to what we are looking for. Though that's the basis of our whole discussion. So we are not against technology. I mean, the laptop projector is a technology that the scientists have made. So if I have to criticize, then I shouldn't be using this. So we are not against technology. We are using all the instruments and everything. We are going online. Everything is
I think
happening.
a great example in recent times is the whole response to COVID globally. So if you look at how India responded, it responded with its own value system.
Exactly.
So we gave vaccines to countries which couldn't afford the vaccine. You know, almost 70 countries benefited by free vaccines from India. And the West, they just had Pfizer and those pharma companies making billions of dollars with very dodgy research.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
has had a lot of side effects and so on and so forth. So I think one is with that value system intact.
Exactly.
The other is, minus the,
Yeah, yeah.
what we call, minus the art.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we are trying to come to. In another few slides, the whole thing will get clear, right? I'm showing very soon. I'm going to show you one poem, which is like one of my favorite poems. It makes things so very clear. So one time, there were 4 farmers from India who won a lottery ticket. They got a free stay in US for 10 days. So they were like in bliss, Indians from a remote village going to US. It was like a dream come true for them. So they all got a accommodation in a hotel on the 100th floor. They were staying on the 100th floor. 10 days in US, time is going to fly very soon. So they all decided that every day we will all go in 4 different directions, check out US, and the evening we'll come back and share our experiences. Right? In this way we can experience US the maximum. So one particular day they came back in the evening, and when they reached the reception, they found out that that day somehow the lift is not working. Some electricity issue, the lift is not working. Their room is on the 100th floor. What to do? They have to just walk it up. There's no choice. So they decided, let's walk it up, but we'll keep talking, we'll just keep speaking about our US experience. So one guy started to speak about his experience. US is so great. India has to learn a lot of things from US. Another guy said, you don't know what I saw. Things were so good here. I've decided to shift down to US only. I don't want India. And third guy was speaking something, all this while, they are really glorifying their experiences and they are really in wow, about this place. And they reached the 99th floor. And all these 3 guys turn to the 4th guy and tell him, you also speak? He said, before I speak, there is a problem. I've forgotten the key in the ground floor, in the reception. Many times, with due respect, modern civilization is like this. We have climbed to the 99th floor in terms of technology, in terms of science, in terms of communication, in terms of travel, everything. Whoever imagined that there will be something called a mobile and internet and mobile, whoever imagined this? In school, college days, no one imagined. So we have come the 99th floor in many levels. But somewhere, everyone realizes that the key to happiness is missed. Even in advanced countries like US, they are like on the 99th floor in every level. And the other countries are imitating the first world countries, that's all. But these people, after reaching there, they are realizing that they are still not happy. Because they have missed the key to happiness somewhere in this run, in this race of running and climbing. You getting the point? This is a poem that that I really love and cherish. It throws so much light on the situation. It's called Life It Makes You Think, which is what this course is meant for, to think. The paradox of a time in history is that we have taller buildings but shorter tempers, wider freeways but narrower viewpoints. We spend more but have less. We buy more but enjoy it less. Bigger houses, smaller families, more conveniences, less time, more degrees but less sense, more knowledge but less judgment, more experts but less solution, okay? More medicine but less wellness. Okay, coming back to this, when the number of hospitals are opening up more, you have more medicine shops opening up, what it also shows is the society is not healthy. I mean, previously what one medical shop would suffice, in that same place you need now 20 pharmacy units. That means people are getting more unhealthier. We have multiplied our possessions, reduced our values. We talk too much, love too seldom, and hate too often. We have learned how to make a living, but not a life. We have added years to life, not life to years. We have been all the way to the moon and back, but have trouble crossing the street to meet the new neighbor. These are times of tall men and short character, steep profits and shallow relationships. These are times of world peace, which is not there also, but domestic warfare for sure. More leisure, but less fun. More kinds of food, but less nutrition. These are days of two incomes, but more divorce. These are days of fancier houses, but broken homes. It is a time when there is much in the show window and nothing in the stockroom. Life, it makes you think. Yeah, I mean, today's day, as I told you, is a day where everyone displays something, but their reality is something different, right? Their reality is simply different. So, this whole poem and this whole course helps us actually think a little more deeper. So, what is the permanent solution? So, coming back to science a little, can science stop old age? No, it can't stop. The scientists may say we can try in future, right? But they can't stop it per se. Can science stop death? Can't stop death. You can't do it. Can science stop diseases? As he said, some diseases can be stopped, right? Definitely. But diseases in so many forms will keep coming. You can't say that take this pill and no more diseases. Even the vaccination, COVID, even after the vaccination, the messages were coming, Even after that, please be careful. You could still get the COVID disease, right? So you just can't stop it. So these things are like, definitely these things work. We have to do these things. But expecting that they are the solutions to the permanent problems per se is not correct. So we are all searching for the right thing. What is the right thing in today's discussion? What are we searching for? Happiness. That search for happiness is perfect because that's our nature. That's a right to be happy. But we're searching it for in the wrong place. Just like someone is looking for water in desert. I mean, water in desert sometimes is their oasis, but most often what you see as an oasis is just a mirage. Right? It appears water, but there's no water. So we are all looking for that happiness in a wrong place. This is a restaurant. What is a restaurant called in Sanskrit or Hindi? Anyone who is Sanskrit, Hindi? What is a restaurant called? Bhojanalay. Perfect. Bhojanalay. You don't need much explanation on this. This is a bar. What is this called in Hindi or Sanskrit? Madiralay. Yeah, Madiralay. This is a school. Okay. It's called Vidyalaya. It came a little earlier. So this is a library. What is this called? Pustakalaya. Yeah, Grantalaya, whatever. Pustakalaya, Grantalaya, correct. So what does the word alay mean, Alay basically means a place which is filled with. Like Himalaya. What does Himalaya mean? It means snow. Himalaya means a place that's filled with snow. Like that's what it means. So Bhojanalaya means you'll get food in abundance. Grantalaya means you'll get library, books in abundance. Right? So now if someone goes to a Grantalaya, a library, and tells that, give me one bottle of Kingfisher, whatever. They will tell you, what? We can give you a book on Kingfisher. We can't give you Kingfisher. If you want drink, you go to a Madiralaya. Imagine if someone goes to a Madiralaya and tells, give me Gyan, Give me knowledge. So I would say, Madirale, what knowledge you will get? If you want knowledge, you go to a Vidyalaya. Understanding? So you have to know what you want and where you are looking for. Right? You can't just go to another place and say something else. Right? It doesn't work. So this world, Krishna tells in the Gita, is called Dukkhalaya. Hare Krishna. So what is this world called? Dukkhalaya. So that means this world is a place of misery, dukkha, lot of dukkha. And someone may say, no, my experience is Sukhalaya. I am definitely experiencing a lot of happiness. Even if you experience a lot of happiness, the next thing is Ashashvatam. Ashashvatam means temporary. So even if someone says, I have the perfect life, no misery, no dukkha, which is not possible, which we saw already, the real problem, something or the other is always there in our life. But even if someone says, I'm perfectly happy, you can't remain in that situation forever. It's temporary. History is basically names of people who have come and gone. That's it. So, if you have a question, why did God make this place Dukkhalaya? We are going to come in our future discussions. Okay? We'll come back to that topic a little later. It needs an entire discussion on it. So, just like there is a child, this child is a child of a billionaire, right? And this child goes to a Mela. Any of y'all have been to Kumbh Mela? Heard of Kumbh Mela? Been? Have gone Kumbh Mela? Okay. So Kumbh Mela is a place where there are crores of people. If you want to see Sanatan Dharma in action, you have to see Kumbh Mela, Jagannath Rath Yatra and all these things. It's like crores of people, literally crores of people. And in Kumbh Mela, in places like this, even in Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra, you will find announcements continuously going on. ये किसी का बच्चा है, कोई है माता पिता तो आके लेके जाइए. Continuous announcements. Because in this crore you get lost. There's no way you can find. So imagine a lost child of a billionaire lost in a Kumbh Mela like this. Right? Announcements are made, father couldn't find the child couldn't find the father has gone back. Now you come across this child. How can you give the actual happiness to this child? What will you do for the child? Exactly. See, you can give the child some food, some clothing, this, that. But if you connect the child back to the father, the child will completely happy. Because you can provide needs for the child for 1 day, 2 days, your medicine, food for 1 day, 2 days. But the child's father is a billionaire. I mean, the child just goes there, the child is sorted completely. Isn't it? So similarly, the scriptures explain, we are all like this lost child of God. We are all children of God. Mamai Mamsho Jiva Loke. We are all children of God as Atma, as spirit souls. We discussed this yesterday. But we have forgotten a connection with God and come in this foreign world. We are like this lost child, lost in the Kumbh Mela of this world. Completely lost. And the scriptures emphatically explain that the source of happiness is making that connection back with God. And this process is called the process of yoga. Yoga means to reconnect, to establish that lost connection. That is where someone can be truly happy. I'll just end with this one story. There is a story that comes in the Bible. This is the story of the prodigal son. Have you all heard this story? Yes. You all have an idea. So basically, there was a landlord, and this landlord had 2 sons. One son was very submissive to the father, and the other son was a little independent minded. So that son came and told the father one day, just give my share of money, I'm just going out. Father told him, what do you mean your share of money? Whatever is mine is yours. Everything is yours. Why do you want your share of money? He said, no, just give my share, I'm just going. I just don't want to stay with you. So father tried to convince him, but he gave the share of money. So this child didn't have any training, didn't know what the world is, imaginary world that he had. So he went around with a lot of money, and a lot of friends came. You know, in English they say when pockets jingle, friends mingle. So his pocket was really mingling a lot of money. So a lot of friends came. They had like party one every day, like continuous party, and money was getting exhausted. He didn't realize it. And one day he realized that it's out. Pockets are empty. And dad is not there to look after me. Friends are gone. Because as long as money was there, these guys were there. Money is out, these friends are gone. Ditched him completely. Slowly, the reality started to dawn. It started to dawn on him. Why his father told him that this world is not an easy place. Baba, you're thinking it's an easy world. It's not an easy world. You're not still ready for it. This guy slowly started to realize the wisdom in the words of his father. So now what to do? He was not feeling, okay to go back. So he started to work in a stable, where pigs were being herded. In those countries, where the Bible, the setting of there, they wouldn't have goshalas. They would have places where pigs are being herded. So he became one of the men there to look after these pigs. And whatever this rotten food was given to the pigs, some rotten grass, and he was surviving on that. So he was like day by day he was getting wiser. Vedana, the suffering, real life suffering, made him a little wiser. He understood that, Baba, life is not what I thought. And then one day he decided, let me go back to my father. If anyway I'm working here, I'll just become a servant of my father only. Why to work here? So as he was going, and as he reached the outskirt of his kingdom, the father came to know that the son has come. Father comes to embrace the son back. So Jesus tells this story to his disciples. So we are all like the son who have come again away from our father, and that's the reason of our suffering in this world. And the scriptures explain the only way we can be happy, and again the word only, there's no second way. The only way we can be happy when we establish that connection. That's where our real happiness lies, in that yoga, in that connection. There's like a fish, na? Fish, you pull the fish away from water, and the fish is like suffering miserably. Like, we stay in Shadam, we have to keep calm the ferry. And when the ferry docks, that liver of that ferry just, as soon as they are out of the water, they are suffering so much. Take the fish and put it back in the water, the fish is so blissful. So we are all like this fish. And the water for us is the connection with God. What is that connection? To experience happiness, simply we have to reach. That's where our happiness lies in. So with this, we will discuss tomorrow's topic tomorrow. So someone may say, you are speaking about establishing connection back with God. Who knows whether God exists or not? So tomorrow's subject is, does God exist? Is he a fact or a fiction? How do we have faith in existence of this personality? That we will discuss tomorrow. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Anyone has any questions now? Anything that was not clear or?
More difficult to get understand.
Pardon?
Solve.
Yeah? Yeah, please be honest. Yeah. Yes, Mataji, what you said?
Happiness is more difficult to get solve थोड़ा समझ में आया. Happiness is more difficult.
Oh, you're saying yesterday topic was easier.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why the sad songs are so popular, I guess. There's a lot of misery in the world.
So it's simple. I mean, the whole thing just summarized in what I explained at the end. The only way you can experience happiness is connection back with God. Well, once that connection is not there, if you try to find happiness in only the material stuff in this world, you are going to be still miserable. At the end, you will feel you may have climbed the 99th floor, but you will feel that you have missed the key for happiness. That's what the essence is. Yes.
Prabhuji, now that I'm conducting these classes, I have reached out to hundreds and hundreds of people through WhatsApp. And the feedback, even this morning, I got was, oh, I don't believe in religion, I'm not a very spiritual person. So my reply to that was, actually it's nothing to do with religion. It is a way of life. This will help you in your journey to life. And 99%, except for the few people out here, only believed me. The rest of them, I felt so rejected because I wanted to tell them it will benefit them, but nobody is out there ready to listen or even just come to one class and see it can make a difference because it's made a difference to my life.
Yeah.
But 90% people, sorry, don't believe in that. Don't
Yeah.
want to come to this. This is too much. This is not religion, not into that, not into Hare Krishna. I said it's got nothing to do with Hare Krishna. It is to do with God and the way you can make your life happy. But they don't want to take this path,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't want to take this path. They rather fight and argue and
Yeah,
have egoistic. And I wrote to this one particular person. I said, I actually approached you because I thought it might help you to solve some of the situation that you face, which is
Yeah.
anger. But she said, sorry, I'm not spiritual, I'm not religious.
person who are angry.
Yeah.
I said, it might help you to understand.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's the job of a preacher. See, as preachers, as people trying to help others, we can only do our bit. See, Krishna in the Gita also, Lord Krishna speaks the entire Gita and then tells Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, well, if you want to follow, follow. If you don't want to follow, okay, no problem.
Yeah, that's what I
So this is a very selfless job. You can just inspire, you can encourage, and then that free will, that choice muscle is still with them. They have to exert that choice and they have to take that step and come. Right? It may happen in everyone's life today or tomorrow. The story, coming back to the story of the prodigal son, when the realities of life hit a little harder for them, then they will come back. So today or tomorrow it's going to happen to people. And this COVID has hit people a lot. Post-COVID, many people are actually becoming spiritual because those bubbles of illusions that they had are slowly a little bursting off. So today or tomorrow it will happen in people's life. Right? So for some people it's just the time that they need basically. Yes, please. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you that are there people of a certain age who want to follow spiritualism, or are there people now who are joining, who are younger a lot, who are also joining spiritualism to understand what the connect with God is like? Like spirituality. What is spirituality?
What is spirituality we're going to discuss, but the question of age is never a bar.
No, why I'm asking this question is because if you see in other religions, okay, I know we're not supposed to discuss religions, but in other religions, from childhood they are taught, and it's focused.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to study this, you have to follow our scriptures.
That is the reason.
But in Hinduism,
That is the main reason.
it is such
That
a
is the
sad
reason.
thing that children from a younger age
That
are
is the
not
main
taught
reason. We don't
certain
teach
things.
us.
Yeah.
Follow God. It's only when you reach your 50s, suddenly you realize, oh God,
Yeah.
we have missed out on certain things in our life.
Yeah.
We don't
So
understand
we are going to discuss these topics. We are definitely going to discuss religion, and we are definitely going to discuss about how it's important for youngsters to understand.
Yeah, because nobody knows what the Gita is all about.
Yeah, no one really
Why is it
understands.
not taught in school? We are in a Hindu country.
Yeah.
Why is it not?
It's going to be taught very soon.
Like when we,
Things are changing now for the good.
when we children brought up in UK, we have religious education. We have one lesson a week where I don't know.
Yeah. Now things are going to change.
Earlier we used to have this class in our school which was called Moral Science.
Model science.
Yeah.
Where we were taught certain things.
Yes.
Don't
Moral
steal,
science we had the class.
be good to your neighbors, all those kind of things. Now you don't
No,
have
they
the
have stopped
subject
it.
anymore.
Subject also,
They
yeah.
don't have the class anymore. Children don't understand how difficult it is even to put that food on the plate by their parents.
Yeah.
They think everything is hunky-dory. Oh, they suddenly follow it from the sky.
Yeah.
And it's
See, that's why
yeah.
we have to do all those things. We have to introduce this in the education system, which was a part before, but now things have changed. So that the government will be doing at some time, But it's also important for us that on our level we start. Like we have programs that we do for children. We teach according to the level that they can understand. We teach principles, we teach values, we teach them stories from Ramayana, Mahabharata. We have these schools that go on. And in our school children program that we do, the success of our programs is we have these programs every Sunday for 1-2 hours. The child waits for the Sunday to come. The child is just waiting for that. We just ended our Gopal's Fun School module yesterday or the day before on Sunday. All the childs, their first question was when you're going to start the next module.
See, my
So the children are eager for it.
So my question is, I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about Gita, which is a way of life. Can that at least be introduced? Or can
Yeah.
Can be done for small children? Why it hasn't been done, you know?
Why it has been done? Because
It started with Lord Macaulay, and we have 200 years of baggage
Yeah, that's
to really
right.
get rid of. Because when the British came to India, there were at least 60,000 recognized gurukuls, which were established gurukuls, which were imparting the Vedic way of education. Macaulay came in, and the Brits were so smart, they said, we need a cheap labor source for clerical staff. So they said, if the Gurukul system and the Indian heritage continues, we will never be able to conquer these guys. So if you read the Macaulay Act, it was a complete overhaul of the education system. And they left this legacy that an Indian child, all of us can say, Our Father who art in heaven, holy be thy name, thy kingdom come, because we've all been to those coveted convent schools.
Yes.
But ask any kid to say one shlok from the Gita or to recite the Hanuman Chalisa, okay, Dad, you're really, you're old-fashioned.
Right.
So this is the damage which has happened to this civilization over 200 years. And
There's no push in Hinduism.
Yes.
There's no push.
Now things are changing.
Hindus are always looking for solutions from other people.
Yeah.
You see, I
Now this Ayodhya temple opening is a major step, in our Hindu Rashtra coming up actually, right? So things are changing for good. Things are changing for
I
good.
was told by Prabhu Karthik in Bangalore, he introduced, because my children are all foreign, to introduce a little bit of, into them. I don't live with them. I feel sad that I'm not able to influence any of our goodness that we have in our culture to them. But I went to Dubai and I thought, chalo, as Prabhuji said, start with one tiny thing and then slowly. So I came down the stairs and I said, Hare Krishna. And my grandchildren and my children looked at me and they said, what's going on, Mom? I said, well,
Who's this Krishna and why is he doing?
you say good morning.
Hare
I am
Krishna.
saying Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So he said, Mom, you're not going to get along very well with your grandchildren if you're going to adapt this attitude. I said, oh, Rishi, come on, Hare Krishna. So next morning, they all sarcastically stood in line and said, Hare Krishna, Nanny. But
So that's good.
well, I achieved a little bit.
Yeah,
little.
yeah.
I said, well, then I rang Prabhuji. I said, Prabhuji, यहाँ तो आफत आ गई है. मैंने उनको बोला Hare Krishna. So he said, you're trying. And even today I say, Hare Krishna, everybody. No response. But, I don't live with them. So children here, it would be nice for them to say, hi,
Yeah.
good morning. Say, namaste bolo yaar.
Yeah. So, every change starts small. So the whole idea behind this course is that, we understand certain things, and the more we understand, we can educate. See, like you have been seeing this, we have done 2 sessions till now. All our presentations have been on Bhagavad Gita, but it's been very scientific, very systematic. In ISKCON, we have a lot of youngsters coming in because the whole thing is presented in a very scientific way. It's also about how we have given that culture to them. So when it's being passed on in the way they can understand, assimilate, connect, if their questions are getting sorted, they will take it up. They will take it up. So it's our responsibility to sort them out, sort their questions. It's our responsibility to tell them that spirituality is the way. It's our responsibility to tell them that, this is very scientific, it's not backward civilization, this is the most advanced civilization. If we can convince them, they'll get convinced.
Okay, Prabhuji, I have of us will take that spiritual journey forward?
Exactly. It's definitely a question that we have to
I mean,
ask.
we're all here.
Yeah.
Will we preach
If I
it?
could just share something. Coming back to what you've done today, I listened very attentively and I was really scared. There's a lot of fear at the back of my mind, and I wanted to share this with the group. Maybe you have a similar fear. Because I said, yes, you're giving us the construct of how do you chase happiness. But I said, look, I'm 56 years old. I said, look, how many role models can I think of who actually follow this? Real versus this. And I had to go back to almost childhood. Because in this construct, there are very few role models that we can say, yes, I know her or I know him, who's actually following this construct. And that really scared me.
Yeah.
Because yes, theoretically, this is what we should do, this is what how many people do it?
Yeah.
And it's really scary because chasing the material stuff is so ingrained in us.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
advertising, the psychological warfare, and all the exposure is about material things, material solutions.
No, but we have, it's not scary anymore now because we have so many people who are on this path of spirituality. So therefore, we'll be coming to this topic in future. One of the things that is crucial is called satsang. Sat means eternal. The sangha, that association that takes us closer to that eternal truth is called satsang. And that association that takes us away is called asatsang. So in today's world, everyone wants association. Humans are social animals. We want association. But most of the association and sangha takes us away from God. So therefore, having these satsangs like this is the only way out. You can't walk on this path alone. You need a support system. So and we have these satsangs everywhere by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So if you come to these satsangs on a regular basis, in these satsangs, confidence to walk on this path will happen automatically. So we have had so many people, we have done these courses and people have been with us. All these transformations have come in their life. They have been seeing changes. They are able to understand concepts. Right? They are being able to go closer on their path to God. And that's why this whole course is for, we are going to do the third part tomorrow. Beyond that, there is another 3 parts to the course. And beyond that also, as Mataji said, it's ultimately everyone's willingness. But we would be very happy to help you all in the journey, even beyond the course together, provided, as she said, the choice comes from you all, the decision comes from you all. It's ultimately your decision, just like the scores happen because all of you all agreed to. And even beyond the course, if you all still want like a regular association, a regular satsang, a regular dose of that connect with God, we are definitely there to help. That's our whole purpose. That's why we are there. What we are doing. We are there basically to serve others.
Prabhuji, with all due respect, yes, I would like every month for us to just give 2-3 hours, so that we can learn teachings from. Just हम party करते हैं, सब कुछ करते हैं. Just once a month, I would like to continue this.
Yeah.
In my house, I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to do everything. So that just for 2 hours, we can just be at peace and just, be with God and connect. And then pass the word around as well, because I also am a human being. I get disheartened when I get so many rejection. So it would be nice if you share your experiences with other people in Aldia, other friends. Look, why don't you come along? We meet people as well and everything. So, we will be, with your permission, if you're free, I would like to, all of us to share this every month.
Yes, definitely. I would say,
And now Lord Krishna is in my house.
I would highly encourage everyone once a month, but I would be really happy if that once a month can become once a week.
That is my ultimate goal.
That's where the actual transformation will happen. Once a month dose is very less. Because by the time the next class comes, what you have learned and the practice is almost fizzled off only. All those inspirations are fizzled off, right? As he said, the energy, the material energy is too powerful. Once a month dose is very less to counteract that energy that comes from there. Once a week is the ideal.
You're
But to start with, as Mataji said,
Yeah.
we can at least do once a month for some time, and if you all are okay with it, and it will automatically come from within you all.
Right.
It will come from you all. I don't have to tell it, she doesn't have to tell it. It will come from you all, and at that point we can make it once a week also.
I just want to share the reason I started these classes. In Bangalore, we have a complex, a large complex, and there we were doing once a week. Every Sunday,